Ah, okay, okay.
Otherwise, we forget. Okay, here it is.
Can you see it, teacher?
Yes, 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 yes. Oh,
Yeah,
that's a
well,
nice.
yeah. When I saw it, I say, "Wow, it's perfect to my presentation." Well, the last book that I read was "The Obstacle Is the Way." To be honest, it was a little bit harder to me because all the book was in English and some words that I don't understood. Well, I translated, and that's why in this occasion my reading was a little bit slowly, but I preferred. And well, I'm gonna do like a summary about this book. The author is Ryan Holiday, and his The Obstacle is the Way, the timeless art of turning trails into triumphs. Since the beginning of the book, Ryan Holiday tried to show you the importance of perception because we can decide if one well, how can I say, if one event
Event,
that happened,
event, yes.
yeah, event that happened to our lives could be an opportunity or could be a disaster. And how we do that? Well, all depending of the perception. Because, for example, somebody stole my cell phone. Okay, probably I lost my cell phone, but well, my life is good. I don't suffer. I don't have any type of suffer in my body. Just I lost something that is material and that I can recover in a time. So we need to see the opportunities in the bad things because sometimes we block our mind and we don't think uh, beyond of it. Could I decirlo así, teacher?
Beyond that.
Beyond that, okay. In the second part, control your emotions. And that's so important at the moment that we are doing decisions. Sometimes we choose our decisions by our emotions, and we must be more, uh, well, like the other book, we must be more analytic. Sometimes we don't have enough time to choose a decision, and we are rush and well, we choose bad. So it's necessary to control our emotions and try to decide and act in a correct way. And practice objectivity. Sometimes we have, for example, an event in our lives and we go dive on it. Can I say that, teacher? Like
Yeah,
más profundo? Or
yeah.
más.
We won't die from that.
Yeah, and that's so bad because sometimes we create in our minds more issues, and in reality, it is what it is, and we don't need to overthink all the time all the things that happen to our lives. You know. And here are three. It's like a drawing, and say alter your perspective. We can divide in two. That is context and framing, and we need to understand what can I control and what is outside of our power. So it's necessary to have in mind what can I do, what can I change, and the things that I can't change. Well, I just leave it. Um Well, first of all, the book divides in three parts. The first one is perception, the second one is action, and the third one is will. I forget to say. In action, it doesn't matter what happens to you, it matters what you do. It's so important because, well, there are events in our lives that obviously we can't control. So we need to understand what can I do for change it, or how can I act to to achieve something or to get something special. So go for it, persist in your efforts, and resist in distraction. Uh, the other parts say that you must be pragmatic
Right.
and you need to follow the process. And don't hesitate. Can I say that too? Like
Don't
no.
hesitate. Yeah, don't hesitate. Don't waste time. Don't hesitate. Be
Uh,
decisive.
yeah, exactly. So you need to have like an order in your life and do the things that you want to achieve first, and later the laser things. I don't know how to say it. The other kind of activities that's not priority in that moment.
Secondary.
Secondary, yeah.
Yeah, you can say that they're not so important or not priority activities.
This is an important part of the book, I say, because it's outflank your problem, find common ground, use leverage, create alternatives, and size the offensive.
Seize.
Seize the offensive. Sometimes it's necessary to use our obstacles against them. So, for example, if certain, well, I'm going to dive on it, but if if we have a problem in our work that somebody's talking bad of ourselves, sometimes you just need to leave it because, well, probably the mind of this person never gonna change. So sometimes the obstacles go against themselves because you don't give the correct attention and you focus on the things that really matters. So use obstacles against themselves. And the third part and last part is will. And in the last part, they divide in three parts. That is pre-mortem. That is pre. How can I say it, teacher? Like
Premortem. You anticipate
ah,
before the fact.
before exactly, yeah. And anticipate and a plan. We must understand that, like I said before, that there are things that we can't change. So we need to accept that. We need to accept that sometimes there are things that we can change, and that is normal because life, well, it is what it is. And sometimes it's better to just relax and try to live day by day, day per day, step by step. And if something don't work like you want it, how can I say, teacher? Como si hubieras querido, like you,
As if you had wished.
yeah, like if you have wish. Well, you can prepare something else, or you can keep going if you really matter, but if you really want it. But if there's that use which so much don't happen, well, prepare and start with anything else. So uh, we need to understand that we are mortals, that we don't know how much time we're gonna live here. So it's necessary to try to focus on the things that really matters and don't have pressure of things that only affect to us. So that's the last part, and that's why they say endure and accept the word. Well, that's my summary, teacher.
Thank you very much, Mickey. It's really good, really interesting. Let me ask you and ask Mitch a couple of questions about this interesting topic.
Yeah.
Um, what do you think about this diagram, Mitch? The way a book is summarized, and how can you really truly understand and get to like a book that probably is difficult to read? What do you think
Mhm.
about this, Mitch?
I think this diagram is too little and too complete at the same time. It's following like the mm, scientific method of trying and researching about the subject. In this case, the emotions in perspection in the sociology way, and see the possibility how to act correctly and mature and being clearly about your actions and life.
Yeah, okay, very good description. It has very interesting topics. For example, beginning with the perception, you have an idea of something and you can decide if that is positive or negative, right? Remember that the other day we were saying, well, this can be good, but actually this can be bad. That's a personal decision. that decision is normally based on your experience. You can learn from a problem. You can, even if they steal your cell phone, you can go talk to the police, and then you notice that the police have very bad equipment, and you say, well, these guys are very poorly equipped. I can bring some equipment from China and sell them to the police, right? So you're finding opportunities in a problematic situation,
Yeah,
right? You can go and say, wow, what a horrible office they have. I can sell them a nice pretty design, how to decorate their offices, how make it more pragmatic, make better use of it. So you can make a good position out of something bad, which is a theft. They stole your cell phone, you went to the police, and then you can actually make friends. You
yeah,
can say, well, this guy is like a nice guy. I can make him my friend. Hey, can I take your phone call sometime? Maybe if I have a worry, a preoccupation, a question about something technical related to the law or the police force or something, can I call you? Yes. And you call him, okay, Pete or Joe or whatever. How are you doing? Yeah, remember that I went to place a complaint about my cell phone being stolen? Yeah, well, I had a question about, I don't know, if there is a gun control, if you have other equipment, if they use, for example, drones to as a surveillance, or maybe you are planning to buy a drone for yourself and you want to sell it to the police to do monitoring of the streets. So you have a contact already,
yeah,
uh, and you tell him, hey, Mr. Joe, Police Joe, or whatever, I
Mhm.
want to suggest my drone to patrol the streets, the dangerous streets, and take pictures every hour, but I don't know who I can sell it to. Oh, you need to go to the department of purchasing department, this and that. And then you make a bad situation something positive, right? So
yeah. So,
I love this because he can always become something good. Actually, there is a Chinese saying that the bad brings the good, right?
yeah.
Well, then, but then this is a difficult thing. How do we control our emotions? If somebody steals my, and 3 4 years ago, two guys broke into the school and they took a lot of things, right? Well, not a lot of things, but they took the cell phones of the students, the teacher, they took my computer, a couple of things like over 20,000 pesos in goods. Plus they took my certificate for to revalidate my post degree studies in the US. So they took a bunch of documents, and that made me very angry. But how do you control your emotions in difficult situations, guys? How do you do that, Mickey? How do you control your emotions when there is a mishap, like in that case?
Mm, being conscient of all the possibilities that could happen if you uh, before your next act, and looking to the little future to see that what is the worst thing that's gonna happen, how you gonna progress or process, uh, what's gonna be your next step to um, caray.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it makes sense. What
Mhm.
was how you gonna proceed?
How you gonna proceed to fix that problem?
Well, that sounds very logical, very nice, and very organized in theory. But sometimes people overreact. Sometimes somebody accidentally or deliberately pushes you in the school or in the street or in the library, and you want to react, right?
Yeah.
Well,
Mhm.
or somebody tells you something that is not very nice or very polite, and you want to answer back, or you're driving in the street and somebody's honking, beep, 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 and then you react. Yeah, in these times, it is difficult to react in Irapuato, right? You yell a guy from car to
Oh,
car, and they pull out a gun, right?
yeah.
Uh, you want to control your emotions, but you don't want to repress them, right? You don't
Mhm.
want to repress the emotion because the emotions are like a steam in steam how do you call this, in a steam container, right? It
Mhm.
needs
Mhm.
to be released.
Yeah.
Mhm.
How do you do that?
Mm, well, I think that is necessary. A part of control or emotions is necessary to focus on the things that we can do like change, because there are things that we can't change, like I said before. So, for example, if you feel so angry or you feel so sad, uh, you can do other kind of activities. Uh, for example, I think that the best paintings or the best music was made when someone have so many emotions that they look for a way to express them. So I think that we can decide what can we do with our emotions. I think that we can, like, how can I say this? Mm, well, yeah, it's like focus our emotions on the things that really matter,
Mhm.
create something else.
Okay. Now, okay, let me ask you something. Do you guys think that anger is a valid emotion? In other words, Mitch, is it occasionally good to feel anger against something or against someone? Or is
Yeah.
an emotion that we should control or repress or avoid or delete? Anger, enough.
No. The anger exists for something, and if we feel upset or incomforting at the we can control the situation, obviously we're gonna feel anger, but it is our responsibility to control our feelings, to not to overreact to ending violent scenarios.
Right, but do you think that anger or being angry can lead you to a positive action? For example, you
Yeah,
get angry because a person is being discriminated or abused. You get
yeah.
angry because you are doing a great job, you are doing fantastic designs, and the boss doesn't recognize your work. Or you
Mhm.
get angry because you feel that you deserve to live in a better society, and the society doesn't do much about it to fix it. Or you see that some people can be, the police can be colluded with with the mafia, right? I'm not saying
Mhm.
that is the case, but could be, and you get angry at that. Can that anger lead you to a positive action? Not, doesn't mean that we need to lose our control or to lose control of our emotions, but anger can also have a positive effect, can give you some force, some energy to fix a problem, to fix a situation, to help people um, who are in bad conditions. Can we use that positively?
It's exactly as you said. The anger is energy
Okay.
of your voluntary to try to want to fix the problems. Of course, there are other people that they get anger with everything and everyone, and that's not cool. I think that's a mental problem. But uh, the anger essentially are positive if you're gonna use it to fix a problem in the better way.
Yeah, that's a great definition. What do you think about this, Mickey?
Yeah, because I think that anger is a normal human emotion, and I think that something positive could be the result of an anger. Because, for example, if you focus your anger into, I don't know, for example, someone rejects your work, whatever. Well, sometimes this anger makes you like improve in one part, and well, I think that the most important thing is that the anger don't need to be more than, I don't know, hours or days or weeks. Because I think that the anger, if you have anger for so much time, I think that that could damage to you.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That can wear you off. You
Yeah.
become tired, and it's yeah. that damages you eventually. That's true. And we're talking about emotions, and we don't only have anger, we have fear. And then I say people should be brave, should be valiant. Yeah, but what is the purpose then in nature? What is the natural purpose of fear? What do you think is the purpose? Why do people, and all kinds of people, even animals, have
Yeah.
fear? Why do we fear? Or why do people or living organisms have fear?
That feeling that gonna something bad gonna happen to them emotionally or physically, more physically, I think. If someone hurt them, uh, or verbally can be too, that some people tell them, reject them from the society, or I don't know.
Okay.
Um, how can I say vergüenza o pena?
Shame, shame.
Uh-huh. And they fear that the other people feel shame about them in some occasions.
Okay. Yeah. Do you think, Mickey, that having fear can help you survive? For example, let's say that
Yeah.
you go to the Amazon and then you see plants because you're hungry, you need to eat. How do you guide yourself? You just start eating whatever, or you notice that it can be poisonous and then you try to copy the birds or other mammals that eat from certain plants. You saw a rabbit and you saw that the rabbit was eating from that grass. That means that that is not poison, right? Or what do you think about fear as a survival tool?
Well, yeah, I think that fear is like a mechanism of survival, survival.
Survival, yes.
Yeah, and of defense because sometimes fear make us think the things and make us analyze more or context or the way or the place and where we are. So I think that is normal, and I think that all the species have fear. So I think that is it's more like a mechanism of defense.
Okay, very good. I think you defined it as a psychologist. Very good.
Why?
uh, I think it was a very, yeah, because in psychology there are mechanisms of defense which
Oh,
are
really?
normal. Yeah, yeah, yeah. The mechanisms of defense. I believe there are 7 or 9 mechanisms of defense, and I like the, very much the way you exemplified it, the way you described it, because it sounded like a very very professional way to mention it. Yeah, fear is a mechanism to defend yourself from unknown events, unknown things, unknown people, unknown situations.
Yeah,
Because we all look for certainty, object, and if we are in an unfamiliar situation, in an unfamiliar place, in an unfamiliar um, element, we're gonna feel unsafe. So we're looking for safety, and in
yeah,
seeking that safety is when we recognize, or yeah, a zebra sees a lion behind the bushes in a forest or in the jungle rather. She's gonna fear the approach of that lion because they know what can happen if the lion approaches, right?
yeah,
They're gonna kill them. So they have this fear because it's a mechanism to protect them from death, right? So it's
yeah.
important to recognize it and keep it in the balance, in the right balance, right?
Hmm.
That's why the next topic is objectivity. When any situation arises and when we live, it's normal to face new situations. When you travel to a new city, when you meet a new friend, when you have a new class, when
Yeah,
you do something new, anything new that you do is gonna challenge your objectivity because you need to assess, you need to make an assessment
yeah,
of the new situation, right? Oh, I have new classmates. And then you start moving your internal computer. Oh, looks like a nice guy. Oh, that guy looks awfully arrogant or whatever, right? You start making judgments. um,
Mm.
How do you become objective, Mitch? How do you keep your objectivity when you
Teacher,
make an assessment? Yes,
Mm,
Mickey.
can I go quickly to the bathroom?
Absolutely. Take your time,
Thank you.
Mickey. Take your time.
how can be objective?
Yeah, how can you be
Um,
objective in any new situation?
okay, I think we can visualize some way, some possibilities that what gonna happen next, and we have to see the pros and cons.
Cons, pros and cons.
Pros and cons, and to s- to see, try to formulate or a speech or own opinion to be the more accurate to the situation better.
Okay, very nice. And there is a diagram here that says event is not the same as perception, right?
Hmm.
And it also has a second line that says this happened and it was good and it was bad. How can we make a right judgment about a situation? How can we make a correct, as you said, an accurate assessment and not make a mistake?
mm, make a correct what?
Assessment, as a correct evaluation.
Ah, um, taking in count all the elemental things from the situation, like the emotion of other people or own emotions, the consequences of or next act or works, and which going to see the best way, even if the opinion is negative, need to be more accurate to the environment and situation that's gonna happen right now.
Okay, very, very nice, very, very good. Thank you, Mitch. Has it ever happened to you that you go to a restaurant with your parents or with your friends and you see in the menu a dish and you make your assessment, you make your evaluation, you say, "Oh, that looks horrible. I'm not going to order that." But then one of your friends orders precisely that dish that you at first glance rejected. You said, "No, I'm not eating lasagna because I hate how it looks in the picture." And then they bring the lasagna to your friend, and then you smell it, you take a look at it, they say, "Well, that looks really good. Can I try a little bit?" And your friend tells you, "Yes, go ahead, try a bit." And then you try it and you find it delicious. So you change your previous judgment. And I'm talking
Mm-hmm.
about a dish, but maybe the same with people or with anything. Has it ever
Mm-hmm.
happened to you?
Uh, Years ago, that happened to me by the way that I was educated to not try new things. But now I love to try new things, even if I don't know them. Even all the maybe things that I'm not agree, but maybe I'm judge them bad. All kind of people or kind of things. I think we first we need to know the things that are in front of us to then talk about it, to make an opinion about it. If we don't know them, I think we don't have right to project an opinion.
Well, yeah, but for example, yeah, that's an very interesting comment, actually. Very, very interesting. But things which are not, for example, the first time the man landed in the moon, they had never
Mhm.
been there, right? So they couldn't have an opinion. Nobody could have it because nobody had ever been to the moon, but they still tried. They still said, "Well, we're gonna try. We're gonna take a risk. It's a limited risk." I don't know if you've ever made this, Mickey, that you say, "Well, I have never shipped to Canada. I have never made a transaction with Canadians," but that doesn't mean that you don't take a control risk, don't you think? Or how do you handle situations which are new for you and you still need to try. How do you manage the risk? And there's actually classes and seminars and lots of information about risk management, because the concept that you're talking about, Mitch, is incredibly useful and important. So how do you manage risk, guys?
Mm,
Well,
inform us.
I think that depending too of the size of the risk. For example, if we are managing a big company and one decision could make millions of dollars or could lose millions of dollars, well, I think that is necessary to first of all don't hesitate and control our emotions and see really with objectivity
Uh-huh.
and see what can we do from the place that we are now and what can we and what we can't control. So I think that is necessary to have creativity too, because sometimes in cases that you don't know, well, it's necessary to check all the alternatives before do a decision.
Okay, very interesting, Nikki. Thank you very much. What do you think about this question, Mitch? How do you manage risk when you talk or when you plan to do something which is new for you, that you've never visited a city, you've never visited Australia? However, there is an opportunity to go to Australia, and you need to issue an opinion to say, well, I love kangaroos, I love koalas. I don't know about the desert in Australia. I don't know many things. But then you need to submit at least, if not an opinion, well, you submit an opinion even if you have never been there. So, how
Yeah.
do you manage the risk of a new enterprise, a new situation, a new friend, a new class, something which is novel for you?
Mm-hmm. I think a little ligated with what the thing that I said anteriorly. Um, First, we have to inform us. In this case, of
Okay.
the place that we're gonna to do, see what kind of dangers if are there,
Okay.
like the flora and fauna, that the people, like the security, like the government, and with what kind of precautions we have to take um, to go there. Uh, being too preparatory, and I think it's more than that. Inform yourself to be prepared of a new thing.
Okay, that says a lot of things. That's very, very important. Get informed about all the facts and all the situations, right? Before you try anything. Yeah, imagine all the previous work they did before they launched a rocket to the moon. Imagine all the amount of work in research, scientific analysis, investigation of the atmosphere, the rockets, the fuel, and then when they sent people to the moon, imagine all the amount of research, the investigation they did. So you're absolutely right, Mish. You need to do People need to do a lot of investigation when we try new things. Okay, I like your diagram, Mickey. The following one says action, and I have a question about that. It says it doesn't matter what happens to you, but it matters what you do. In other words, you put control on you, not on externalities. How is that important in life in general, Mickey?
Could you repeat it, teacher? Sorry.
Yeah, apparently from the summary here, it says it doesn't matter what happens to you, it matters what you do, right? In other words,
Yeah.
it seems to me that the book is trying to convince us to put control on the things that we can control, right? To
Yeah.
make us aware of the things that you can control and not of the things which happen to you which you cannot control. For example, it started to rain and I got wet. Well, I couldn't control that. What do you do about that, right? Well, you take a warm bath, you dry yourself, you get an umbrella, whatever, right? So, what do you think about this comment?
Yeah, well, I think that sometimes we stress ourselves with ideas and with things that we can't control. And and sometimes we spend so much time doing that. So I think that it's necessary to focus on the things that we can control and not on the things that, well, obviously we can't control. We need to remember that we don't know how much time we're gonna live, and if we spend our time doing, well, focusing on the things that we can't control, where I think that we are wasting time.
Okay. Here is a phrase, Mitch, which I like very much. Outflank your problem. Outflank is that you go from the flank, not from the center, right? You see an obstacle, you
What
go
is
around
the
it.
plan?
Outflank is to go to the flank, to the side of something, right? In other words, if you see a field of a battlefield, you see the center, you see the right flank, and you see the left flank, or right, the side of a field.
Mm-hmm.
It's a geographic definition. The flank is the side. So you outflank is that you go through the flanks, you go around the problem, you surround it, you go around the problem, you don't confront it, right? It's like if you see a madman in the street, a man that is crazy, that is yelling a lot of things, he's probably a psycho, right? He's out of his mind, he's out of control. And then you are going along the street and you see that person. You don't start a fight with him, right? You probably cross the street, go to the other sidewalk, and continue your way.
Mm-hmm.
Well, some problems are like that, right? You don't confront them, you go around them. Um, where do you see this? Where do you see this solution? I don't say that this is the only nor the ideal solution. I'm just saying that it's one of many. How do you see this, or in what type of situations have you seen this happen, Mitch?
Mm, avoiding the problem or not confront them directly. Um, Maybe if we don't get any trouble or we want to feel safety, avoiding some kind of problems that don't bother us.
Okay, all right. Yeah, exactly. You can actually do this, outflank your problem when you avoid an argument, a discussion, a quarrel. Somebody
Mhm,
wants to argue with you, maybe a classmate. They are provoking you. They tell you, um, hey, the straight hair instead of curly hair is not so pretty. Or they do something, whatever, right? Or, oh, I don't think black hair is so pretty as yellow hair or blonde hair. They tell you that
mm,
to provoke you, right? You can tell them, no, well, no, there are many actresses who have black hair and straight hair. You can start a fight, an argument, or you can just say, hey, whatever, right? And just go on. Or you can make a joke out of it. I'm mentioning something probably very simplistic, but uh,
yeah.
don't we face that quite often in life? Don't we see situations in which somebody's honking you, right? Beep, beep, and you say, hey, go around or whatever. Well,
Mhm,
we overreact, right? You can
mhm.
just outflank, okay, you can tell, hey, go ahead, or oh, thank you, whatever. What else have you seen this situation, Mickey, Mitch?
Maybe if we don't see the reason or for start a fighting, if we don't see that or necessary reaction of some kind of situations are not necessary.
Okay, okay, yeah, absolutely right. What do you think about this, Mickey?
Yeah, well, I think that is something so common because I think that could happen if there's more than two men, so two women or many women in a room, because there are people with some type of idea, some types of thinking. How can I say it? Sure.
Yeah, some type of thinking.
Yeah,
right?
and sometimes that type of thinking doesn't gonna be the same that yours, and we need to analyze if it really matters to confront that person or not.
Okay, very, very true. Yeah, we need to make that decision occasionally in seconds. So this decision making in seconds in life can give us great rewards or dread results, right? For example, like we mentioned a while ago, the bad choice of a taxi driver who chose a bad person to bring in the car and he got stolen or something.
Yeah,
Uh, so we have the next one, which, well, you read the book, Mickey. It says use obstacles against themselves. When you say use obstacles against themselves, I'm sure you recall many examples from the book. How do you use obstacles against themselves?
yeah. Well, I need to think in one example, but I don't know. I'm gonna create one example now. Uh, let's imagine that we're in an office and someone is telling bad things about you, and well, you don't overreact. You just continue with your life. You continue your way, and well, probably the boss noticed that someone's telling bad things um, against you, and this person fired the fire. How do you say? Despide?
Fires?
Yeah, fires the person that was telling you bad things to you. Sometimes it's one example. I
Yeah, yeah,
created
of
that,
course, of course.
but yeah, sometimes we can use our obstacles to against themselves. So
Yeah, that was a great example. Great example. Mitch, have you heard the motto, the logo, the slogan that bad publicity is just as good publicity?
No, I
Well,
don't
there
think
is
so.
there is a slogan that a friend had, and it's quite a, I don't know if it's very common or not, but they say bad publicity is just as good publicity. For example, somebody says, "Hey, Mitch got an average of four, four." Yeah, and they start making bad publicity of you, and then the teacher says, "No, how can that be? Okay, let me check your records. Oh no, it was a mistake. Is I misread the number. It was a 9 or 9.5." And somebody says, gives bad promotion about you. They say, "Hey, Mitch speaks a terrible English." Oh, really? Okay, Mitch, come on. Uh, let's have a little conversation. They start talking to you, and they notice that you have a great understanding and that you speak very well. And they say, "Well, somebody told me that you spoke badly, but you actually speak fantastic. There is an opportunity here and there." They made a commercial for you that helped you. If they hadn't spoken bad about you, probably you wouldn't have got that opportunity. So uh,
Wow.
that's why they say that bad publicity is just as good, because they are making a commercial about you that you have the chance to prove them wrong, right?
Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
So it
happens with
actually,
the sorry teacher.
yes, yes, Mickey, go ahead.
Happens with the how do you say gobernador teacher?
Governor.
Yeah, happens with the no, governor of Nuevo León. Remember, all people was criticize him that he has a lot of privilege, that he never worked in his life, and now he's the governor.
Oh, there you go. There you go. It's a great example. Yeah, exactly right. So
Um,
that's what. Yes, Mitch.
Also, I see that kind of examples in a lot of internet of some public people, like some YouTubers or bloggers, that a random person said that they do something wrong, and if you investigate by yourself about that people and see a little of their content, you realize that maybe uh, that them are not the thing but things that the other people was saying.
Exactly. The first thing that happens is that it raises your curiosity. And actually, many people use it as a strategy to get free promotion. Right?
Mhm.
They write something negative about them, and then you check if that is true or not, and then you find out that it was actually something positive, right? So, well, that's very interesting. So this leads me to think of that, right? Um, Use obstacles against themselves. They end up working in your favor. And then the next one says, prepare for none of it to work. What if nothing works? I believe Mickey or you, Mitch, mentioned once about Edison's light bulbs, that he tried one design that failed and he tried another one and failed, and like 900 different designs, and none of them worked until the thousandth design finally worked and became the famous light bulb that we know.
Yeah.
So how do you prepare for something not to work? How is that?
Um, I think that we can uh, we can define that with the part before a perception, because we can see something like a failure, or we can see something like an attempt that don't work. But well, we can learn about it and try to fix the next in the next attempt. So um, it's normal. I think that in there are so many cases where somebody's working so hard and nothing works, and until the end, well, he achieved it. But well, uh, I think that everything's part of the perception, that how we see the things.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you know the word Poka Yoke, Mitch?
No, no, no. What that means?
All right, Poka Yoke is a Japanese word that is foolproof. In other words, that something doesn't work, um, prevent that, right? Against errors is foolproof. So,
Mhm.
for instance, I'm gonna show you a full Pokayoki. Pokayoki is the plug where you connect the computer. For example, you have three pieces, right? Three leads, and one of them has to go in the center hole, and the other two in the two other parts of the plug. You cannot connect it in the opposite side, in the wrong side. There is only one way to connect it. So when you connect your computer to the plug, you cannot make a mistake. So it's foolproof.
Yeah,
You cannot make a mistake. That's Pokayoke. It's designed against any kind of errors, right? So if you have the plug, let me find an example here. Three leg plug. Let me see if there is. Okay, here. You notice here in the screen that you cannot make a mistake, right? You have the ground, the neutral, and the other one here, right? So there is no room for error. You can only connect in one way. In the old days, when you made a wrong connection, you burnt equipment, you blew it up, right? So that's why the Japanese invented this methodology uh, Poka Yoke. Let me put it here. Poka Yoke and find the definition, strict definition. Okay, can you read it, Mitch, please? Poka Yoke.
Polkayoke means mistake proofing, or more literally, avoiding jokeru, inadvertent errors. Polkayoke ensures that the right condition exists before a process step is executed, and thus preventing defects from occurring in the first place.
Okay, very good. So that's a design, foolproof design, right? You cannot make a mistake. And you see these examples on the right hand side. These are Pokayokis, right? You cannot connect for example, the first one, well, how can you do it, right? But the second one, there's only one way to connect it here. Okay. Where have you seen Poka Yokes, Mickey?
Uh, well, I think that I heard about it. I don't know so much about this topic, but I heard in lean manufacturing,
Yes. Okay.
and yeah, for example, that there's like a system, right? Well, in this system you can't do incorrectly because
Exactly.
it's not gonna work. For example, yeah, Chelsea. For example, I don't know the USB.
The USB is in Poka Yoke. Exactly. You cannot connect it in the wrong way. There's only one way to connect it.
Exactly. Yeah.
So you cannot make a mistake.
Hmm.
Right. Um, where do you see Pokayokis and why are Pokayokis necessary in anything, in industry, in science, in everywhere? You need a Pokayoki. We don't always have them, and that's why there are so many errors and accidents. For example, another Pokayoki used to be the bar in the railways crossings. For example, when you had the railways and the train was coming, in the old days, I don't know anymore, but in the old days when you had the railroad tracks, right? When the train came, there was a bar that, let me see if I can draw it. I'll try to draw one like this, right? More or less like this. So there was a bar that had a mechanism, and then if the train was approaching, the bar came down and you couldn't cross with your car. That avoided accidents. As you will see, in some places they still have them, but they seem to have gotten rid of them. I don't know if you more or less understand the drawing. You
Mm,
not very well. You try to cross the street. I'm sorry. This is the way for the cars, right? Oops. No, let me get on. I'm sorry. This is the highway, and somebody is trying to cross here, right? So this is the train is coming. The train is coming this way, but then the bar goes down, and so you cannot cross. And so there is no risk, or there is a minimum risk of you being crushed by the train because the bar protects you.
Yeah.
This is
mhm.
some type of pokayoki, right? That defends you from your mistake. Maybe you don't calculate correctly. Maybe you don't. Maybe you don't care. And if the train is very close, you still cross the railroad tracks. But if the bar comes down, then that's a protection for you. So even if you make a mistake in your calculation of how close the train is, you still are protected. So this is another example for Pokayoki. Do you remember any other ones that you have seen, Mitch?
um, maybe if we are in a, how can I say canoa?
Ah,
How do you say what?
Canoa.
sorry.
Canoe,
Canoe.
right?
And well, the people, the safe lights, give us some extra salvavidas, safe lights,
Lifesavers.
lifesavers. And if we fail with the canoe and we go down to the water, we have our lifesaver to not to get more down in the water.
Okay, yeah, deeper down. Right, very good
Deeper down.
example. Excellent example. Yeah, very good. I like your example, Mitch. Thanks. Well, so Pokayokis, those are important. Let me go back to your diagram, Mickey. I lost it. Can you share it again with us, please? We're about
Ah,
to finish.
yes, teacher.
Uh,
It's here. Here is.
Oh yeah, here. Okay. Yeah, the okay. So that's why I was talking about the Pokayokis, right? You prepare for none of it to work. What if it doesn't work? Well, you make a Pokayoki. If you think it's not gonna fail somehow, somewhere, you prevent it, right? So it helps you design a Pokayoki foolproof. It avoids all types of errors ahead of time. And so the last topic, the last section, or the last section of the book is the will, your eagerness, what you call voluntad, right?
Yeah.
So you prevent against anything, right? And yet you can still fail. So you're ready to start again. So that talks about perseverance, which what do you think about this quality, Mitch? Perseverance. You fail and you try again, and then something happens and you continue. You keep on. Where does this drive or this energy come from? Even if you fail one or twice or three times, what makes you
Mm,
keep on?
or consciousness that, or volunteer, the feeling that tell us that the next time we're gonna do it right.
Uh huh. And do you consider that in the process there will be a couple of elements that you can fix or do better or improve on?
Yeah.
Okay. Um, very good, very good. And then the conclusion, Mickey, of the book, and what did it give you at the end? In other words, once you finished reading the book, I am sure that you probably meditated about it and you said, "Well, what a fantastic book I read. What it gave me, what I learned from it, or what I love about the book was, what is it that you remember the most from this book that you read?"
Yeah, well, I consider I'm a person that sometimes overthink in so many events of my life. So this book shows me that sometimes is well, not sometimes, always necessary to focus on the things that we can do a change, on the things that we can't. Well, just leave it in. And if this thing could change, well, uh, how can I say like solo lo hará?
Repeat the question, please, Mickey. I couldn't hear you completely. I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
how can I say like será solo que yo.
It will only be by itself, or it will be solved by itself.
Okay, yeah, it will be solved by itself.
Okay.
And sometimes we need to yeah, focus on the things that really matter, control our emotions, and that if we want something, that really really we want something, well, there's no other way to do it just with action. So work for it and understand that probably we're gonna fail, but if we work, we can we can achieve it. And sometimes obviously there are cases
Okay.
that no matter how much effort you put in that, sometimes probably you can't do it, and well, you need to deal with that and continue with your life and accept the things. So prepare to start again, and like it says in the last part, endure and accept the world.
That's truly nice, truly nice. Okay, thank you very much, Mickey. It was a nice review. Good discussion by Mitch and by you, Mickey. Did you want to discuss any reading, any article, anything, Mitch, that you read or that you found interesting?
Yeah, but I don't know if we gonna have the time.
Well, what time are we gonna finish today?
2:30.
2:30. Why don't we do this? Can we stay 5 more minutes, like 2:35? You begin with your explanation, Mitch, which I'm sure is going to be very interesting, and then we continue with your topic the next session. How about that?
Okay.
Okay, well, so let's see what you did, and I'm sure it's gonna be interesting.
Mm-hmm. I can't share, but you can do me a favor.
Absolutely.
You can search in Google Mexican urban legends.
Mexican urban legends.
Mhm.
Okay,
In images, and that's it.
images here.
To illustrate.
Ah, perfect.
Of
So
course, I
let
don't have a great padagram like Mickey, but I write a little reflection about this topic that is to me very interesting.
oh,
It is
look at
about
this.
the Mexican urban legends. Some of them are some old, but other are more actual or current in the
Okay.
current times. Well,
Uh,
I have been reading and listening about all urban legends and a little more current ones that cover all the area of or Mexico and all the 32 states. I really consider myself someone quite skeptical about the paranormal stuff, but there are certain things like audios or videos that most probably the vast majority are montages. There are other where elemental things like the hour that the thing happens, the environment, the events and testimonies of people who supposedly witness something strange conceive, and there are not inconsistencies. Where are an extraordinary event, there are people in the area, and although that people they don't know each other when someone external asks to them what happened there, they are saying all the same thing without contradictions, without contradiction between each other. It is a quite a strange and surprisingly for me. It leaves us in a space of reflection that if maybe something else living in our world that our consciousness is not capable of perceiving at first sight until it occurred us several times or more times, like the supposed more recently that said a lot of people like the nahuales, that
okay.
is kind of creatures that can transform into some animals like dogs and cats and humans, um, and portergeist like some ghosts but in some specific places. Some of them have been here, quite a few happened recently, most of them in Juarez City and Mexico City, um, where I give myself the option of perhaps not believing in these things literally, but at least opening my head to the possibilities. And
Well, that's truly interesting. Have you heard of La Llorona, Mitch, Mickey? Have you heard
yeah,
of? Yes. What's your
Yeah.
take on that? What do you know about that?
it's an old legend that a woman lost her children in an accident of a boat, and in the same place of Xochimilco, in the night she's crying and shouting, "Oh my kids!" uh,
Yeah.
like a sad mother, and
Right.
that's
What percentage of the Mexican population do you think knows that legend, Mitch, Mickey? What do you think? What
Mm,
percentage?
uh, I don't know, but apart of that, I think that there exists like different versions about.
Yeah, yeah.
Because, for example, I heard that La Llorona in Guanajuato too.
That's another one. Yeah, that's true. That's true. But it's
So
become very popular. Don't you agree?
yeah, yeah,
Very popular. Actually, urban legends. give a little bit of flavor to the places, like, and they call now
Yeah.
magic towns. Oh, there
Mm,
is this legend, and then you go out of curiosity.
yeah.
Don't you think that it's very important and very valuable, because it adds, like, for example, the English have the Loch Ness monster.
Uh-huh.
They say, Nessie, there's going to be a monster that's going to come out of the lake, and you're going to see it with a huge neck, and it's going to do this and that. And you have the expectation, and then you have the shadows and this and that. And probably there is no such a monster, right? But
Yeah.
the legend makes you curious about it. I actually love urban legends because they give a lot of flavor to the place, and then you're very curious about it. The chupacabras, for example. Who knows about the chupacabras?
Yeah.
Mm,
Yes,
mm,
what is that, Mitch?
a weird creature that kills some animals alimentate to feed themselves. Yeah, most of it the animals of farm,
Uh-huh.
more uh, goats or goats.
It's goats,
Uh,
sheep, cats,
mhm,
dogs, cows.
yeah.
Yeah, it became very popular at one time. I think in your parents' era, in my time, is it was very very famous. What do you think about this story, Mickey? This legend?
Um, well, yeah, I heard different versions too. I heard that was created to how can I say, to focus the attention of the people in that instead of other things. I don't know what happened in the politics in that time here in Mexico, and that's why I think that they created the chupacabras.
Right. Yeah, it sometimes can be created as a distraction device, right? You
Yeah.
want to create a smoke gun, and yeah, but what do you think about magic towns in Mexico? Bless you.
Me?
Yeah, yeah, Mitch or you, whoever, or both of you. Magic towns. What do you know about magic towns?
Mm,
Um, well, I think that magic sounds are great, and I think that this word magic uh, brings the people because sometimes the people create stories about, like you said, often specific place, and that could attract tourism. Not only the tourism from other countries, tourism from Mexico, and yeah, I love it. There are good. Normally, there are good food.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. What else do you want to say, Mitch, about this very, very interesting topic of urban legends? How do they help a town, because it's urban, right, gain tourism, for example? Can that be a useful purpose of the urban legend?
a what?
A useful purpose. You
Mm,
want to attract tourists to this town, and then you create, or yeah, you create an urban legend. You make it, you put it in place, and then it attracts tourists.
yeah, I think in a lot of cases it's a kind of mercadotecnia or merchandising,
Marketing.
marketing to attract tourists. And yeah, it's a very touristic way to say it.
Yeah, I guess there is a purpose behind everything humans do. And I would say, why do we create human legends or urban legends? Probably to attract people. That's what they did in the US quite a bit, right? The ghost town or this and that, because there were towns which had very few people. The gold rush. Oh, there is a town in California that you do this and that and you get gold. Just dig gold and then you'll become rich. And they attracted a lot of workers from Texas and New Mexico and other states, and got California populated because they wanted to seize it from Mexico and take it and grasp of it. So well, that is it's a whole fantastic world. But as you said, we need to devote more time. So probably, Mitch, Mickey, Uh, how is your time on Saturday or tomorrow to work a bit more on this?
Um, I don't have problem. Could be at any hour for me. There's no problem.
Hmm.
Okay.
In the early schedule, maybe.
Okay. So probably early tomorrow.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, sure. At what time is good for you?
Well, maybe even as early as I would say as early as 9, if it's okay with you guys.
At 9? Yeah. When it's like
Oh
uh,
no.
10, no? 10:30
You
is
prefer
fine.
10?
Ten.
No, for me it's okay at 9.
9 is
Okay.
fine.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Is it good for you, Mitch? 9?
Yes.
Okay, well, thank you very much, Mitch, Mickey. Thank you for your time today. See you tomorrow.
Thank you very much, teacher, for your
Thank you
time.
so much, teacher,
Take
for
care
your time in the class.
and see you
You
tomorrow.
too. Okay. See you tomorrow then. Take care. Goodbye. See you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye, teacher. Thank
Bye bye
you.
bye.
Take care.